Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again. We are so excited to bring you another session with our amazing alums. Today's a really special one because we wanted to introduce you to some of our alums that have left Darien and gone on to do really interesting, amazing things in different ways from each other, different ways than perhaps some of you are thinking about. But I think each of their stories will speak to you and are important. We wanted to show all sorts of different paths that you can choose to do something really interesting and exciting and adventurous and productive when you leave. There are definitely a number of paths post high school that you can choose. And so we've gathered together some incredible alums to tell you a little bit about their paths post DHS and to share some wisdom that they've learned along the way. So I am going to let them introduce themselves and share a little bit of their story. And I'm sure you'll find that it's super fascinating and hopefully some of that resonates with you. So Jack, can I start with you?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Emanuelson. That was a wonderful introduction. My name's Jack. I graduated in 2017, and I feel like my story. So I go to Norwalk Community College, and I would describe my story as a very non-linear educational path. I was the kind of student that just wasn't interested in learning. I wasn't motivated. Um, and just to put it simply, 6 a.m. and I did not get along. Um, it's it was it's tough to kind of look back on, but I was able to, if it wasn't for that experience in high school, I would have never really met my beloved community, and that was NCC. I learned at NCC, it's a place with limitless opportunity. It's really where your interests can be explored, your passions can be discovered. Um, and for myself, I really looked at it as a way to change my life. And, graduating with a 1.9 GPA did not feel good, but getting a 4.0 GPA for the last 2 years feels really good. And that is exactly what people do at NCC. You can turn your life around. And I just want to say it's the most vibrant student body. We have students from over 100 different countries. And I really feel like diversity at our school kind of leads to a kind of a more full and better understanding of academic subjects. I've learned from professors that academics are interesting and fulfilling. From the student club organizations um, that I serve as a leader in, I've learned, you know, that giving back is really as much as a gift to yourself as it is to others. I feel like being a leader in the community, it's taught me so much. And I feel like those are all skills that you guys can learn at NCC. We have over 24 student club organizations. Currently, I serve as the president of the Honor Society and student government. If you are interested in that, I would love to talk to you guys. But that's just kind of the short list of the opportunities within NCC. There are so many resources too to kind of help you facilitate your educational path. The NCC Foundation provides scholarships to so many students, and not to mention, one of the major benefits of NCC is that you are receiving a high degree level of education for a very low cost. And like myself, I've been at NCC for the last 4 years, part-time sometimes, full-time most of the time. But that's the best part about NCC. It's not a race. We all know the story of, the turtle, the what is it, the what is it, the turtle and the hare, or the rabbit and the, it's like you need to, for myself at least, I need to take time to really understand what I wanted to do in life, and NCC was the perfect place to allow me to do that. And really just what I've been up to since graduation. I've been, just like I mentioned, I've been doing a lot of leadership activities in student club organizations. I started to volunteer in my community. I don't live in Darien anymore, but I still volunteer at the Darien YMCA. And that kind of volunteer club inspired me to really kind of give back to my community. And these were all skills that I never really, I guess, utilized during high school. And it just goes to show that NCC is such a special place. And, you can turn your life around just like I did. And I feel like for my next couple steps, For example, I'm applying right now. I'm going to apply to a bunch of four-year institutions for next fall. I'll be a junior when I enroll, and I'm applying to some Ivy Leagues. Never in my wildest dreams would I thought I'd be applying to Ivy Leagues as a 1.9 GPA student. And just some lessons I learned along the way too. Don't let other people's opinions kind of wear down on you. There's this false narrative that NCC is a place that is not challenging, that is easy. Look, I've had friends that go to Cornell, take summer courses at NCC, and they get back to me and they say, Jack, that was actually kind of challenging. I got a B+ in that class. NCC is no joke. And, just like my friend Ryan, you will learn that there are brilliant minds everywhere at NCC, irrespective of the community college environment. I just wanted to share you my experience today. I know that some of you are probably debating whether a four-year institution is the right move. If you're not ready yet, NCC is the perfect place for you. It's really where you can grow as an individual student and just leader. So thank you so much for letting me share that. And if you guys have any questions about NCC, please reach out to me. I'd love to put my email in the chat. Do we have a chat box, Ms. Emanuelson?
Not really, it's being recorded, but they can definitely,
Okay.
if anybody wants to connect with
Yeah.
you and you're willing to, that's amazing. And they can email me and I'm happy to share your email, Jack. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing that. And as somebody who's watched your journey for the last 7 years, I'm so proud of you. So that's outstanding. Thank you for being here. Thomas.
There's a little background noise, but hello everyone, I'm Thomas. I graduated from DHS last spring. So like most of you probably, I spent the fall of my senior year applying to colleges. I was accepted. I was all excited to head down to college, and then with the pandemic, I found out some of my classes were gonna be online. Wasn't sure if we were even gonna end up going. So kind of last minute, I think it was early August, like 2 weeks before I was supposed to head off to school, I wrote and I decided to take a gap year, which was granted. And then, so since then, I've been working at Nielsen's Florist, which has been a great experience. Just kind of like most of you might have summer jobs, but you don't really get that experience working with adults. It's mostly with your friends. So sometimes being the only kid in a place where there's a lot of adults, it's interesting, and they're definitely happy to pass down some wisdom to you. And then I've also been doing an internship with a sports marketing company, and I've kind of gotten to experience both a retail job at Nielsen's and a more office environment, even though it's through Zoom. And my advice to anyone who wants to take a gap year would be just make sure you have a plan, which is a little hypocritical considering I decided to take one like 2 weeks before school started. But if you do, there's definitely plenty of opportunities working a job. I'm sure there are plenty of small businesses in town. There are plenty of people who might work in the city or something and be open to an internship. And just have a plan, and you can definitely learn a lot about being out in the adult world. And then the great part about it is you have 1 year like that, and then you do get that 4-year experience, which I'm definitely looking forward to next year.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I would bet that you've acquired skills this year that maybe some of your peers that didn't do a gap year didn't, that are really going to serve you in an important way when you do start school. And, in my experience, colleges even really look favorably upon gap years because they get students who have had some world experience, and like you, some corporate experience or some work experience, some unusual experiences for somebody your age. And so in many cases, they know that they're getting, kind of more perhaps mature and experienced young adults. And so I think in my experience, gap years have been looked upon, pretty favorably. And so I love that you've had such a great year, and thank you so much for sharing your story. Skyler.
I am sorry. I have a little bit of unstable Wi-Fi, unfortunately, and so I missed most of Thomas's, and I'm sorry.
Must be those California breezes you're enjoying.
Honestly, I swear this is the worst internet I've ever had in my life. Hi guys, I'm Skyler. I graduated last spring with Thomas. And I'm at UC Berkeley. I'm doing a 4-year college path, but a gap year is definitely something that I know a lot of people took, especially because of the pandemic. And one of the most wonderful things about UC Berkeley is that there's a significant portion of our student body is made up of junior transfers. And I can't tell you how many of my friends are so much happier that they chose the community college path over the 4-year experience. The reason why I decided to go straight into college was mostly because I wasn't really choosing my college for my academics, because my academics are a bit all over the place. I am someone who never really knew 100% what they wanted to study, and every time they learned something new, wanted to study that. I applied to culinary school instead of like many colleges. I was just like, whatever, I'll just go to culinary school. Like, I love cooking. And the truth is like not knowing what you want to do is perfectly fine. What I ended up choosing in terms of my 4-year experience is I chose where I was comfortable and where I knew people would be really wonderful and accepting. And I came in as a medical pre-med major MCB, which is our molecular and cell biology program. I switched my major twice, and I'm now an anthropology and public health major. And it's been really nice because I think the best part about college wasn't what I was expecting, which was the academic environment and like the sort of interactions that I've had in classes, because of the pandemic, I actually haven't ever had classes in person, but instead was the community that I found here and the people that I found here, and how willing they were to support me as I kind of navigated where I wanted to go academically and where I even saw myself in terms of like the greater Berkeley community. I've been fortunate enough to reach out to some professors, and I think that's a really important part of college. And I didn't realize that before. So my best advice that I can give you is choose the school that makes you feel the most at home, and choose it for the people, and the people, even like professors, the community outside of, not outside of academics because it's directly intertwined with it, but choose a community that you know will support you if you change your mind or if you don't know where you're going, and they'll be there to sort of help guide you through everything.
I love that. Thank you. And I'm going to spring a sort of unannounced question on you, only because I was sitting here just so proud of each of you, having known you and your journeys, and they were so important. And I think you're doing such fantastic things. So if there's a student at DHS who, isn't quite certain, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. And, and as we're, a lot of students, most students are headed towards, we're kind of a college bound institution. And sometimes it's hard to go a different path or to, make I call it a brave choice, to do something different and to follow your heart. How did you come to those decisions? Like, how did you make those decisions? What information did you use? Who did you talk to? What resources did you lean on to make the decisions about what your next steps were?
I guess I can start.
Yeah.
For me, I obviously started college in the middle of a pandemic. And unlike some of the smaller universities, my school is completely not in person. We're all online. And it was a little bit of a struggle virtually, whether or not I wanted to do classes or take a path more like Thomas's and sort of take the year off and do something new, so do something interesting, get work experience. And ultimately what led me to my decision was I wanted to keep my academic brain going. And I'd felt I'd done such a good job in high school of really like keeping myself to a strict schedule in terms of my academics, and I didn't want to lose that, and I was scared I would if I took a gap year. So that's what pushed me through. But what's kept me in it is I have had the fortune of having an extraordinary professor, Professor Karen Nakamura. Look her up because she's awesome. And she's been the most extraordinary influence on my life and been keeping me sort of sane in my decisions and supporting me as I change my mind.
There's always time for culinary school, Skyler.
Also, my mom's great, so that's great too.
Your mom is great. Jack.
Yeah, and speaking right off that, I currently live with a professor. So that just goes to show you what student-faculty relationships can really do for someone, for students like us that are ambitious and industrious, right? We have our goals, right? But just to answer Mr. Emanuelson's question, I feel like at NCC, I really learned about kind of what my next step was, the four-year institution that I wanted to attend. I kind of found that information out through some of the clubs that I participate in, because they have virtual college fairs like every week, and these informative sessions with these admissions counselors were so helpful. You know, that individualized attention is kind of special, and NCC did a great job of providing that opportunity to all of its transfer students because, you know, usually after you get your associate's degree at NCC, right, your 2-year degree, you then transfer to a 4-year institution. That's what NCC does. So they make sure that they guide you through that process and facilitate that, you know, to the best of their ability. So I really feel like, you know, my school's resources helped me a lot in that way.
And yeah, for me, I just sat down with my parents. We just kind of weighed the pros and cons. We had a family friend who was going to the same school who was doing the same thing, so they helped guide us through it. And I knew of like 1 or 2 other kids that I was friendly with, so I'm like, at least I won't be totally alone. And I just decided to go for it.
Nice. I love that. Well, this has been so fantastic. I'm so proud of you. You've shared such incredible wisdom and perspective that I know is going to be so valuable to so many of our students. And we are proud of you. We miss you. We hope you'll come and visit when you're back and when we are in better times. But we so appreciate your time and your perspective. And thank you again so much. It's great to see you guys.